that's how the film is. And what's more, this is all new, trying to give us our first real view of what it would look like for humanity to be casual space travelers, at least in our own local neighborhood. No offense, but Star Trek with spaceships and the Enterprise, we've seen that before. Yeah, it's great that it's finally on the big screen. Yeah, it's great that it's special effects and all of that. But do we honestly need to look at the Enterprise for nearly 5 minutes? We do have the entire rest of the movie to look at it after all. Now let me say again, if you still like this film, if you think it's great or even the best of the lot, good for you, and I mean that. But if you seem to perceive this film as some kind of litmus test of character, let me share you one other anecdote about this film from someone who commented on the film over the radio and said some kind of unkind things about it. People who liked the film decided to show how intelligent, sophisticated, and all-around better a person they were than this guy by sneaking over to his house that night when no one would see them and throwing rotten eggs at his front door. And ironically, permanently marred the hand-carved, specially made work of art on it. So much for the defenders of the arts. Okay, let's get down to the movie itself. Alright, so let's start at the very beginning. This already makes it a bit difficult. If you saw my original review of this film, it was the DVD director's cut. Well, it's all been redone in HD now, which required me to use my Blu-ray version of it, which seems to be given, although I may have screwed up with when I ripped it. I would admit that. I'm not going to hold that against this film. But I will have to actually say that in this case it seems to be an improvement. See, in the original there was 3 solid minutes of absolutely nothing, just a starfield flying away from you while the music played. And while I intend no disrespect to Jerry Goldsmith, there is so much of just sitting and looking at nothing in this film while music plays that after a while it just all blends together into this generic Trek tone. Nothing goes on at all, and what's worse is it's on the actual film track. You know, sometimes you get these things at the beginning. This film is rated R for violence, language, and non-sexual sex with a positive, all on different tracks. But this isn't a DVD error. It's an intentional part of the film. It's listed on the chapter menus as the overture. Now, I enjoy the classic very much, but I did not come here for a goddamn opera. And the reason I call this out on this is that after sitting there watching someone's screensaver all this time, we then finally get to the Paramount logo, and there's still more of nothing going on while music plays, so we get to the opening credits, which is still more music while nothing happens for 2 minutes. The overture is supposed to establish the tone of the film before it actually starts. And 5 minutes of nothing is... Wait, what am I saying? 5 minutes of nothing absolutely sets the tone for this movie. Fortunately, the Blu-ray version cut the overture in half to a far more manageable minute and a half. So after all of this, we finally get something actually happening. And that something is Klingons flying their ships. This scene, too, goes on for a full minute of chair-gripping drama. The indescribable excitement of watching ships nonchalantly and uneventfully fly in a straight line. We finally see the Klingons, and it's still in the early days of their makeup changes, so they look like someone sewed the 2 halves of their head together. Anyway, they're exploring a blue cloud, and being Klingons, I'm sure you can imagine that the sight of a blue cloud so infuriates them that, yes, they fire a bunch of proton torpedoes into it. A nearby Starfleet base made entirely out of pop music picks up the transmission from them, and then we see the Klingon ships get vaporized. Like everything else in this movie, establishing a Starfleet base is listening takes a long time. Hell, even actually destroying the Klingons takes a long time. We are briefly introduced to Keanu Spock, who is completing the colonoscopy that removes all emotions. He gets offered a medal for being a brave boy, but declines it because he's being called to by a big blue cloud. Oh, just put that down anywhere. Lots of big fake fighters and first flies. Now Kirk is introduced in San Francisco. They play the big fanfare, the music that will later be used as theme music on The Next Generation. And get used to that. Everywhere Kirk goes, the music follows him. It's unintentionally funny. Ben, I'm going to my quarters to take a nap. Wake me when it's dinner time. So taking a break from music and special effects, we're provided the exposition of the Enterprise has undergone a major refit to help explain its big budget look. Also, even though Kirk's an admiral, he's getting the Enterprise back for this mission. He's going, what? I shake down. An alien object, an unbelievable destructive power, 2 days away from its planet. The only starship in interception range is the Enterprise. The only ship, sir? Well, as you know, Mr. Scott, after all the ships whose crews have been wiped out, sucked into another universe, or just been eaten, Starfleet only has 3 ships left, one of which is trying to pull the other one out of the jaws of a giant space shark. The Enterprise is their only hope. Yeah, right, sir. Let's spend the next 4.5 minutes flying around here while smiling and not saying a word. Beige, the color of the future. Now's also a good time to talk about the uniforms that, thankfully, were limited only to this film. They were made of a special piece of material that was absolutely unprofessional and seems to exist solely to show the size of the extras' penises. Irony time. This is the only Star Trek film to get a G rating. Zulu seems to be the only one who can pull off the uniform of this film. That's not a gay joke, which is also ironic, considering that only 1 out of 3 people who defended the uniforms managed to do so without using the word fag. Now's when we finally meet Enterprise's captain, Becker. Most people will know him as his dad from 7th Heaven. Well, screw you. He is and always will be Captain Jake Cutter of Tales of the Gold Monkey, damn it. If he brought his one-eyed dog, it'd only make this movie better. So Kirk tells Decker that just as he finishes up the 18 months that he spent upgrading the ship, he's going to lose command and get demoted to boot. Oddly enough, Tales of the Gold Monkey got canceled about the same time T.J. Hooker was launched, so another case of licensing getting art. The transport is one of the things that's still not working. That's why they had to beam Kirk up to the station and then fly over. They couldn't beam him over using the transporter on the station, or because, well, that would have made sense. They beamed over to abandoned ships on numerous occasions, so I don't understand if you put people on there why there'd be a problem. I mean, we saw it in the Omega Glory when everyone was turned into rock salt. They didn't even finish the red shirt. Yeah, really, but what's the worst that can happen? That it's the safest way to travel, except for the times it turns due to something that would make George Romero curl up and puke. Well, I don't like that bit because it's arguably the best part of the movie. After that, everything gets silly again. We get what's presumably a briefing, since it's a 4-time for a slumber party. A message comes in from Starfleet Console Outpost 1 reporting on how huge the cloud is. Then in the cut you're using is either bigger than the entire orbit of Pluto or barely bigger than the entire orbit of the Earth. They then attack the station and Kirk asks for an external view. The station is slowly destroyed, as if it could be destroyed any other way, along with a guy in a suit there that's probably supposed to be really impressive, but it just reminds me of one of those bendy dolls I had as a kid. The exterior view of the station soon shows nothing, which, well, I guess it means the cloud may be a heartless killer, but nonetheless with a soft spot to spare the cameras. After that, we meet Ilea, who is so sexy, I guess, that she has to have an oath of celibacy on record. It's a little odd, even more so the fact that she actually announced it to Kirk. I've fairly rarely shown up on my first day and told my boss that I don't want to screw them. And even then, it's only to explain that my little chaps are there just because it makes me look so damn good. But as many have said, when dealing with Kirk, you may want to put that out there so he knows. It won't stop him, but he knows. We then get a message that someone's refusing to beam up, so Kirk goes down there in person to make sure they do. If you want to keep track, it's been 7 minutes since the transporter accident. It took 6 for Kirk to get from the station over to the Enterprise. You know, you may want to put a little bit more time in there if you want this to be amusingly paranoid behavior. I don't see how it's unreasonable to not want to step on the pad and the ship's science officers be wheeled away in front of your eyes in 3 different buckets. Anyway, I suppose as you see Kirk head off, it's a good time to comment on the improvement, despite overdoing the beige a little bit. They've clearly gone out of their way with all this stuff to not have that 60s era feel to it, but be a timeless piece that, the hell? I'm not sure. This might be Grizzly Adams. He seems to have the headpiece of the stash of raw around his neck. Kirk tries to explain why he's here.
Oh, it's just a thing out there.
Why is any object we don't understand always called a thing?
Well, you got Cornelius. It was either pig or big-ass station-eating cloud, which we prefer. Fortunately, Bones quickly gets into things and soon fully embracing the silliness of the 23rd century. And not a moment too soon, because it's time to light this baby